I realized on the second day I was there at Ashford Castle that there was a huge box of chocolates and a bottle of champagne on the dresser. And how was I going to eat all of that and drink all of that by myself? The bed was made up for two people, and there were signature chocolates from the castle on each pillow. It was quite funny to me because this went on for days. And I think finally, near the end of my stay, they realized that it was only me in the room. But I collected those tiny little boxes of two chocolates each all week long, put them in my suitcase, and brought them home to share with my family. It was pretty crazy. Um, for a couple of days, I drank the champagne, even if it was warm, and walked around the castle in a bit of a stupor. The chocolates were great, and every day there were two bottles of spring water that was in glass bottles on the table. I was just not used to this kind of treatment, as this was my first trip of this sort of any kind and the only one I've ever been on. A small town girl from New England going to Ireland and staying at a castle in Ireland. I remember sitting in the dining room and listening to the people talk while they were eating. There was this one couple next to me one night that were complaining about the size of the table, and I was just horrified, really. I couldn't believe that was their focus when they were in one of the most beautiful places in the world. They kept talking about their manufacturing company, and here I was sitting there, just a lowly administrative assistant from New England on a trip to make herself feel better because she was at her own devices, so to speak. And then I looked over, and in the area where they would bring the food and then serve it, there were young interns, so to speak, from all over Europe working there. And they kept looking over at me because I was sitting alone every night, and it was probably a bit strange to them. And it became very funny, and they were so nice to me. That night, they came over with my dinner and lifted the lid off and announced it. And I just started laughing, and I was so grateful for how they treated me. I don't know what it's like there now, but I'm sure the service is still great. But I had so much fun with the people that worked there, and I will not ever forget that. But I could not believe the way some of the people were. I remember one night being at that fireplace that I've mentioned in a previous installment, of which this is now number 6, and a bus full of Americans, of which I was an American, came walking in and sat down. I invited them, and they proceeded to ask me what I was doing there. I didn't really know what to say. I said, well, I'm on vacation, and I was really dressed up that night. Because where I'm from, you really don't dress up. And so they sat down, and they just kept looking at me like I was a freak or something. And I just thought it was funny. The following night, 2 of those people were sitting on the outskirts of that fireplace when I went down. They did not make any attempt to invite me to sit down and talk with them. I just laughed it off and smiled and walked out and waited until they were gone and then went back and sat for a while by myself. It's just incredible how nice people can be. And then you have others who just don't know. They just don't know. And I'm so grateful for the kind people in the world. More to come.